bad. Not bad. I'm almost 100%. I just sound bad. So, well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday, right? And it's sunny. Yay. For a while. I don't know when it's supposed to snow. Is that just tomorrow? Tonight and tomorrow. So yeah, Lisa is down in Florida, so she'll miss out on that, but she's coming back next week. So hopefully she'll bring the good weather. Yeah, or you could just stay. Yes. Well, find a nice seat and settle in, and we're just gonna take it slow and easy to start, and then we'll probably pick up a little bit. So close your eyes and tend to your breath. Invite in a little bit of peace and calm. So every inhale, just think, I'm just drawing in a little bit of peace and calm, maybe a little more relaxation, any tension that you've already developed this morning. And just take a moment to set an intention for your day or just for class if you'd like. And please bring hands to heart center. As we move into spring, it is spring, right? May we remember that spring is a time of growth. So may we take the time to really notice growth outside, all the new life, and growth inside. And may we especially take the time to notice all the beauty and the grace that's in all of that, especially in ourselves. And please lower your hands, open your eyes, and stretch your arms up. Get really nice and tall. And exhale, bring them down through heart center. And do that again. Stretch them up. And bring them down through heart center. And stretch them up. This time, bring your right hand off to the side. And arc for a breath or two. And then inhale, come back up. And stretch to the left. Inhale one more time to the right. Inhale, both arms up and to the left. And inhale back up, bring the arms to T. Rotate your right arm in and your left arm out and just kind of lean to the side and then switch. One more time. Kind of think of rotating the arm in the socket. Good, and come back to center. Slide your feet to vrksasana and just kind of feel that. Good morning, Artie. Don't go too deep because we're just getting started. Then stretch your legs long, wide. And just see how that feels. Maybe fold forward a little bit if you want. Good morning. And then one more time, vrksasana, feet together. And feet wide. And possibly fold. And then come on back up. Slide off your blanket and bring your feet flat and just lift to Navasana. Kind of airing everything out, lengthening, see how it feels, and then bring your feet down. Make sure you're in the middle of your mat and come on down to laying down. Stretch your legs long, stretch your arms up over your head like you're just getting up. Those lights are awful bright, aren't they? Good, and then just your right knee, hug that in. And just kind of don't let the curve come out of your low back. And then just kind of ground it down in the socket. So it's mostly straight up. And then interlace behind. And point and flex a few times. Bring that light down. Yeah. Take our time warming up. And yeah, that's better. And then bending that right knee, bring the foot the inside of your left thigh like you're in a tree pose. And just take a moment, feel your left leg grounded. Pretend like you're really using your core to keep yourself upright. And then stretch your arms up so it's tree pose on the floor. Pretend like you're standing on that left leg. Have your rib cage back, shoulders back. Oh, that feels good. Good, and then release that foot to the floor. Hug both knees in for a moment. Roll up into a little ball. Maybe knee to nose. And then lay back down. And grab a hold of your left knee. Extend the right leg. Just kind of work it into the socket, back and forth a few times. Maybe a big circle. Interlace behind, extend the leg straight. Both legs are straight, and then flex and point. Warm up the ankle, the hamstrings. Good. And then bending that knee, bring the left foot to the inner edge of your right thigh, like tree pose. Stretch your arms up. Tree pose on the floor. Kind of notice, feel connection, feel how the floor supports you. You can feel a little curve in the low back, but you still feel really engaged. The rib cage. Good, and then release. Hug both knees in again. And then just rock up to seated. You can rock a few times if you want to, and come to all fours, please. And just move through some cow close your eyes for a moment. Sometimes you can feel better. You're moving through your eyes closed. See if you can feel each vertebrae. And then finding a flat back position. Make sure you're not just dumping into your wrist. Extend the right leg. Check your core. And then extend the left arm. And then you're going to move through like a cat-cow position. So as you bring elbow to knee, so bend right knee towards left elbow and round to cat, and then extend it back out and maybe lift them both a little higher so it feels like cow, and then do that 2 more times. Last time. Think cow pose, really round, shoulders extend, and bring the hand and the knee down, keeping the toes curled under. Sit back on your heel to give your feet a little stretch. Give your wrist a little stretch or break too. And then we'll go for the other side. So down to all fours. I know I'm moving fast, sorry. Extend the left leg. Draw the low belly up. Keep the rib cage back. Extend the right arm. Now keep all that integration in your core as you bring elbow to knee and round. Try to keep your hips and your shoulders square. 2 more times. So 3 times. Just go slow and mindful. Sometimes I don't notice my back as much in this movement. And I really want you to notice that. Bring the hand and the knee down. Bring your knees a bit wider and sit back to a child's pose. And breathe deep into your belly, to your low back. And stretching your arms out long now. Come up on fingertips. See how long you can make your spine. And then plant your hands right there. And come back to all fours, but your hands will be slightly in front of your shoulders. And lift to your first downward dog. Rib cage back. Shoulders engaged. And just walk it out. And then come on back down to all fours, keeping your hands a little bit in front of your shoulders. Swivel your left foot to the left. The knee stays there. Extend the right leg and come up to a side plank variation. And just feel that. Lengthen through the top of the head. Good. And then come on down. And switch sides. So right foot swivels, left foot extends. Stretch it on up. You feel the shoulders and the hips are square to the side wall. Good. Come on down. Come back to the first side. So swivel the left foot and the right leg. Stand up. Notice how you're in a really good plank. See if you can stretch your right arm by your ear so the palm's facing down, and then maybe arc towards the floor. So the right side lifts. A little more stretch. Just so easy. I want it to feel good. And then come on back down. And switch sides. So right foot swivels, left leg extends. Get the really strong plank feeling first. And then stretch the arm by the ear and arc towards the head, and the foot really feel like they're towards the floor, and the left side ribs move up. Good. And come on down. Stretch the feet long in all fours position, and pressing all 10 toes down, sit back on the heels again just to stretch out your ankles a little bit. See how that feels. That's been doing yoga every day. That probably feels good. Come on back. Hands slightly in front of the shoulders. Downward facing dog. And bring your feet wider, almost as wide as the mat, and step them forward. You might have to bend your knees a little bit. So it feels like maybe you can get your heels grounded with the knees bent. And it just feels like a kind of a baby downward dog. Really stable. Just notice that. Now, bend the left knee a lot and keep the hips square to the front. So you're going to reach through with your left hand to the outside of the right shin, and then kind of pull yourself through so you're a twist, but your hips stay square, your shoulders kind of move. Yeah. And then switch. So just bend the right knee. Right hip crease stays back as you reach through. Lift left side of left shin and twist around. You're attempting to get the shoulders square to the sidewall. Good. Unwind and come on down to all fours. I'm going to have you grab your blocks now and bring them under your hands. And you want them to be right under the shoulders, or a little bit forward of shoulders, but shoulder width is what I meant to say. And then step your right foot to the outside of the block. And just be mindful, does the kneecap point the same direction as the toes? You might have to turn the toes out a little bit. And your hips are going to stay square to the front as well as your shoulders. And feel all parts of your right foot grounded. And then maybe lift the back knee. A nice stretch, being really mindful to keep everything aligned. And I'm going to walk my blocks forward a little bit because I want to come down to my elbows. And you don't have to do that, but just see if that feels like a good stretch to you. Good. And lower the back knee. Come back up on your hands. You can switch the left foot to the outside. Line things up. I always kind of notice that I want to stick my right hip to the right, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep square, keep my shoulders square, and then lift the back knee. You can lift the back heel high too. You really engage that left leg. I'm hugging left heel towards right foot. And then if you want a little more stretch, come on down. Humble, deep lunge. Good now. This is a hard transition. I don't know how it's going to go, but you're going to bring your hands back on the block and then step forward with your right foot and come to a deep squat. You might have to move your blocks forward. Ooh, yeah. It's a wide, deep squat, so it feels a little bit like a sumo squat. I don't know why I have sumo on my mind today. Good, and then slowly lift up, straighten the feet out, and come to your first forward fold, but it's a wide forward fold. And just take a few moments there, checking in. And then wiggle your feet so they're hip distance. Bend your knees, hands on the knees, and come all the way up to standing. Feels good to change positions for a moment. Standing on your best Tadasana, stretch your arms up again. Even look up for a moment. Remember when you were on the floor and how that felt when you're stretching both arms and legs. I want you to get that same feeling. Good, now bring just your right arm down by your side and arc again. And then inhale, bring the arms up and switch. And inhale, bring both arms up and bring hands to heart center. Okay, we did tree pose on the floor, so let's try it standing now. So I want you to get that same feeling though of connection up and down. So stand on your right foot, bring your left knee up and bring it wide. So kind of just notice all the way and then help it to where you want it to be for tree pose. And stretch up. Get that feeling of connection. And once you get to a place that feels pretty stable, see if you can take 3 more breaths. And then release it. Well done. Switch sides, no wind this morning in this room. Switch sides. Bring the knee up first, turn it out so you can really feel your core staying square to the front. Place the foot, stretch up. Feel like there's something really supporting you from the back side, like the floor did. And release it. Now, never fear if you struggled a little bit. It'll feel better on the second time around. So let's go for the first side again. I like to just mindfully turn the knee out so I can really feel my hips working and then find bone to bone. Use the core. Stretch up. Your body is so amazing how it makes all these little adjustments. And release. Good. Well done. Even if you fell out, your body is really moving and using muscles to stabilize, and that's what we're after. We want to be stable even as we get older, right? Okay, switch sides. Just take your time. It's always my challenging side, my ankle. So you gotta really think what draw it in. Middle, extend up. And release. Yeah, good job. Okay, come to the front of your mat, and you may or may not want to use the blocks. Totally up to you. I think I'm gonna skip mine today. We'll see how I do. I might have to grab them, so I just put them where they're handy. And stretch up again. Nice, easy Tadasana. And then fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your right foot back to deep lunge. And just kind of notice, are the hips square to the front, shoulders square, lower the back knee, and stretch up Anjane Asana. And just take your time, just kind of feeling your way into the pose, opening up, lengthening both sides of the body, super long. Left hip crease stays back. Good, now bring hands to heart center. I want you to really feel like you're drawing your rib cage back a little bit. And then twist your left, right elbow on the knee. And then just notice, okay, my goal here is to keep my hips square to the front, but turn my shoulders to the side. If you really feel your core working, trying to keep the rib cage back and the shoulders back, you'll feel the twist right where it should be. Good, unwind, touch down, slide the hips back, flex the foot for runner's lunge. And again, just notice hips square to the front, shoulders square to the front, draw the leg into the socket. So I always have a tendency to let my right hip stick out. So I have to think, oh, left hip and crease stays back. And then I can work to stretch the toes towards the floor, and I feel this really nice stretch, top and bottom. Good, and then bend back into the front knee. Lift the back knee again, a deep lunge. And again, check, is everything squared up? Do I feel stable? Maybe stretch the arms back by your hips. And then slowly stretch up, crescent warrior. It's a hard transition. Good, now ground the back foot down. Come to warrior two. Ooh. Do to feel connected, both sides of the body. And then feeling that side stretch, bring the right hand down the back leg, stretch the left arm up for reverse warrior. Good, come back up, warrior two. And we're gonna go to Parsvakonasana. So either elbow to knee or to the block, or if you're ready for it, to the floor. Let's see where it feels good. Stay for a couple breaths, check your alignment. Feel the back foot grounding you. Now this is optional if you want to bring the arm by the ear, palm facing down, and then arc up a little bit. Don't straighten the leg for this variation. Just feel a really nice stretch in the side body. Good. And then look at the floor. Touch the right hand down, turn the right heel up, and step back to a downward facing dog. And come forward to plank. And keep the elbows over the wrists. You can lower your knees to lower down or lower down slow through chaturanga to the mat. This is going to be really strange, I know. You're just going to keep the left foot grounded. Bend the right knee to the side so you can bring the right foot to the inner edge of the left leg. So it's like tree pose. Good. And maybe this is intense enough, but if you want a little more, you can lift to a cobra variation of this. Hug the bones towards each other. I know it's weird. Good. Lower down. Stretch the right leg straight. Hips are stay square as much as you can. So if you feel like your hip comes up too far on the left side, don't do it. So bend the left knee, bring it to the space. Think long spine. If you come up to a little tree pose cobra. And release. Stretch both legs straight. And come up to regular cobra. Lengthening your spine. And lower down. Push all the way back to child's pose. And just let your hands come under your forehead for a moment. And breathe deep. And make your way to downward facing dog. And please step your feet up to your hands, forward fold. I wanted to try this. Bring your hands on your blocks and turn them to the highest height. I haven't done this before. And come on up to standing. It's going to be fun. Stand on your left foot. Bring your right foot up to a tree variation. You can bring it below and then fold forward. So just kind of play with it where you want that foot to be. And then see if you can fold forward. Ooh. It feels kind of weird. You might have to move the blocks. Hug the left hip into the right foot. Turn the right knee out. If this bothers your knee at all, don't do it. Good, and release. And come on up to try the second time. Kind of felt a little bit good, didn't it? Kind of broaden your hips a little bit. You gotta really think of that. So try the other side wherever feels good. I'm hugging my right hip in. I want you to feel the heel kind of pressing more than the ball of the foot, because the tendency is to press with the ball of the foot. And release. Enough of that nonsense. Step your left foot back, deep lunge. Find a really stable position. Sweep your arms back so you're hovering. Really strengthen up that back leg so that you can come up crescent. So right hip crease has to stay back. Hips stay square, shoulders stay square, right? And then bring hands to heart center. Now, if you need to lower the back knee, you can. Your hips stay square to the front. You're just thinking shoulders turn to the right, elbow to the knee. Right hip crease stays back, shoulders turn. Really good, you guys. Unwind. Touch the floor now or the blocks and slide your hips up and back so you can straighten the right leg for pyramid pose. And think, same thing, hips stay square, shoulders stay square. Lengthen the spine, sit bones back, maybe fold over the leg a little bit, pyramid pose. Otherwise known as vrksasana. Good, bend back into the front knee. Ground the back heel down. Come up, warrior two. Check your alignment. Reverse it. Side stretches are getting easier, right? Back to warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Triangle pose. So you decide if you want the block, please use it. Highly recommend it. Think, oh my, I want to keep the sits bones back, but I want to engage the shoulders to turn. And then if you want to try a little arcing action, stretch the arm closer to the ear and maybe lengthen out the left side rib. Try to keep the shoulders the same, square to the sidewall. Now look at the floor, bend the front knee, turn to a deep lunge and step back, downward dog. I'm going to give you the option of child's pose, or you can do vinyasa with me and it'll just be a regular one. So inhale to plank, exhale down, cobra, and down. Downward facing dog. So bringing the feet a little bit closer, I'm going to try a wild dog. So extend the left leg. Notice here, your hips are still square and your shoulders are still square. Your shoulders are going to stay that way, but you're going to turn your hips. So bend the left knee and think shoulders stay the same, really strong in the core as I lift the left hip and stack it on top of the right. Wild dog. Good, square up the hips. And maybe step that foot through to deep lunge, or however you can get it up there. Okay. Now we're doing the same thing. So check your alignment. Hips are square, left hip crease back. Stretch the arms back by your hips. So you're kind of hovering. Really juice up that back leg so that you can transition up crescent warrior. Hands to heart center. See if the rib cage is back. Hips stay the same, heels stay the same. Just twist right knee to left, or left knee, right elbow. Left hip crease stays back. Back leg super engaged. Good. Unwind, touch down. Use the blocks if needed to slide the hips back, straighten the left leg. Low belly draws up. Hips are aligned, shoulders are aligned, straight forward. Lengthen the spine. Maybe fold deeper. Good. Bend into the front knee. Ground the back foot down. Come on up, warrior two. Thought I forgot, didn't you? I knew something didn't feel evened. Reverse it. Being really mindful to your core. That's the key. Come back, warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Feel all parts of your front foot engaged. All parts of your back foot engaged. Triangle. And then if you want to try that arcing action in triangle, just stretch your right arm. Keep the shoulders square to the side and think right rib cage moves up towards the ceiling. Head moves down. Good. Bend into the front knee. Touch down. Turn the back heel up. And step back. Down dog. Either child's pose or vinyasa. Plank to the floor. Cobra. And down. And downward facing dog. Okay, we have one more side of wild dog to do. So feet a little closer. I just think it's a little easier to keep the hips or stack the hips. Shoulders stay the same. Bend the right leg. I like a little baby bend in my left knee too. Bend the right knee. Work really hard to keep the shoulders square as you stack. Right hip on top of left. Wild dog. Yeah. Beautiful, you guys. Good. Square up the hips. Now listen carefully. You're just going to slide that right knee to the outside of your right hand for a pigeon prep. Now, if you have knee issues and it's bothersome, you can do this on your back. So right knee, yeah, outside of right wrist, left knee lowers. And I always I don't want to move the shin forward, but I can walk the left foot back if I want more stretch. But I really want to notice, are my hips square to the front? Are my shoulders square to the front? Am I hugging knee to knee so that I feel really long in the spine? Then that stretch isolates and you can lower your elbows. Press the right shin into the floor. So the real work is in the hip. You don't want to feel it in your knee. If you think to yourself, everything stays square, the right hip crease has to move back. And for me, I always have to think it goes wide so that it can stay square. Couple breaths. She just wants to get close to your face, Connie. And then come on up to your hands. This is how I do it. Hands under shoulders, lift the back knee, and lift it up back. Oh, that feels good to unwind a little for a moment, but we're going to switch sides. So left knee. Yeah. And just check. So are things lined up? Do you want to move that right foot back a little bit? I just kind of walk it. My knee comes back, but I'm still hugging the knees towards each other so I can keep the hips square. And then I come down. I don't ever just want to dump into this pose because I think you can stretch too much and do damage. You just kind of go where it feels like a really nice stretch, but yet there's no pain involved. Hopefully not. Sometimes I remember when my hips just didn't do this. I remember that. And then unwind. Make your way to downward facing dog, everyone. And come down to your knees for a moment and just sit back wherever it feels comfortable. Or we're going to do a vrksasana, which is side plank. And I'm going to give you 3 options for doing that. So I'm going to do this side. So first option we did at the beginning, you just swivel and extend. And maybe that's all you do. And then maybe you play with the arc this time. Second option is you start in down dog, swivel both heels into side plank, and then work on really strong in side plank, and then maybe play with arcing. Third option, stacking, getting that plank feeling. Notice how my hand's in front of my shoulder slightly, and then you can work to arc. Okay, so pick an option. Come on up. And let's everyone turn towards the middle. So whatever side will turn you toward the middle, that's what I want you to do. So 1, 2, or 3. And just kind of play with that arcing action. Once you really feel like you're stable in the plank, so you have everything engaged, and then the arcing feels kind of good. Yeah, nice, you guys, and come on down. Beautiful. Just take a moment in child's pose between sides. And then go ahead and go for the other side. And watch. Gorgeous. I'll tell you, if you don't look plank-like, y'all look really plank-like. Beautiful. Wow, nice. And then try a little bit of the arc. Beautiful. And come on down. Okay, now we're gonna do it one more time, but I'm gonna give you one more option this time. And of course it has to do with tree pose. So here's how I like to do it. So I think you have to be able to stack before you're gonna feel comfortable doing it. So I'm stacking, and then I have to bend both knees to be able to bring the foot in there, and then I lengthen out. Yeah, and it feels really good once you get it, and then you can play with arcing if you want. Okay. If you want to try that option, go for it. So Everyone turn towards the middle again first. Artie, are you in the way? He's okay. So whichever variation, and if you're sick of side planks, you don't have to do it again if you don't want. Nice, Christine. Oh, Jeanette, awesome. Yes, yeah. Good, you guys, and come on down. It's always one side. Okay, go for the other side. I'm gonna try it on this side too. Make sure that your hand isn't too far underneath you. Maybe the easiest tree pose we've done today. Come on down. Transition to your back. And just like we started, just stretch your arms and your legs, full body stretch. And then hug your knees in, roll into a little ball. And then set your head and shoulders back down. Hold on to your right knee. Bring the left foot flat. Interlace behind the right leg. Make sure your hips are square and you have the curve in your low back, and then straighten both legs. And flex and point a few times. Stretch it back out. And then bending your right knee, bring the foot on top of the left thigh or tuck it behind the right knee. Bring your arms to cactus or T. Keeping the hips square to each other, turn them to the left, but keep your shoulders square to the ceiling as you roll to your left hip. See what your tendency is. Good, and roll back to center. Right foot flat. Hug the left knee in. And then interlace behind the left knee. Feel everything square and extend both legs straight. Flex and point. And then bringing, I like to hug the toes of the left foot behind the right knee, arms in cactus, and just roll to your right hip. Shoulders stay square, hips turn. My knee never comes across enough that it touches the ground. It just doesn't. I don't know why. And unwind. Excuse me. Bring your feet wide on the mat with your knees bent, and just do a few windshield wipers. The hips should feel kind of nice and open after all those tree poses and pigeon preps and all that fun stuff. And then bringing the knees up, bring the feet underneath your knees. One more weird thing. Sorry. Bring your hands down by your hips. Lift to Setu Bandha. That's not weird. You've done this a million times. Just notice your hips square to the ceiling, your shoulders square to the ceiling. Nice long spine. Nice long side body. And release down. Now, you can do that again, or if you want to try a tree pose variation, bring your right foot to the inner left thigh. Stay strong with the left foot. Keep everything aligned. So hips stay square, shoulders stay square. Pretend like there's a glass of water on your belly as you lift to tree pose variation, Setu Bandha. Play with it a moment and release. Unwind. And try the other side. So left foot to inner right thigh. I always have to really feel like I'm hugging the bones towards each other. I keep the curve in my low back so I can keep the hips square. My knee might be up higher. That's okay. And lift. You can balance a cup of water there. A lot more work than regular Setu Bandha, but notice your hamstrings working and release down. Okay, bring the soles of your feet together. Bring your hands on your belly or your inner thigh. Couple nice, long, slow, deep breaths, calming all that wild stuff in your head and in your body. And then helping the knees up together, go ahead and stretch out for Shavasana. If you want to cover up, and just bring your thoughts to your main purpose now is to relax completely. Allow your heart rate to slow. Allow your respiration rate to slow. Maybe even lengthen out the exhalation. Just say to yourself, let the floor support me fully. Let the earth support me fully. All this new life that rumbles this time of year, earth will support me and support that. I'm going to share a few thoughts from John O'Donohue, one of my favorite writers. It says, we need to return to the solitude within to find again the dream that lies at the hearth of the soul. We need to feel the dream with the wonder of a child approaching a threshold of discovery. When we rediscover our childlike nature, we enter into a world of gentle possibility. Consequently, we find ourselves more frequently at that place, at the place of ease, delight, and celebration. The false burdens fall away. We come into rhythm with ourselves. Our clay shape gradually learns to walk beautifully on this magnificent earth. So here's his blessing of solitude. May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have respect for your own individuality and difference. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique, that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful, good, and eternal happening. May you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees you in every moment. And starting to come back, just feel yourself as separate now from the floor, from the earth, even though you never really are. Just expand into the space around you a little bit by stretching your fingers, toes, feet, hands, head. And when you're ready to move more, take your time transitioning on up to seated, please. When you're ready, bring hands to heart center. Just lengthening your spine, bow your head towards your heart. Thank you so much for practicing this morning. Namaste. Well done, everybody. Thanks for being here. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone, near and far.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
Have a great
You
day.
continue to feel better.
Laura, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. But yeah, I missed the first part. You're sick?
Yeah, I got a fun thing from Las Vegas. Came back with COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That blows what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. I
Sorry
think
about that.
yeah. So there were 9 of us, and